First of all, I'd like to say how much I really feel for all of you as the travel and tourism industry struggles through its worst crisis in living memory. Now, more than ever, your leadership skill is called upon to guide your businesses and to minimize the fallout. Well done to all of you who have managed to keep as many employees as possible on your payroll. It is indeed sad to see so many great people who have lost their jobs and in most cases have had to return to their home country. Let's hope that they will one day be returning here to the Middle East in the not too distant future. I'm sure that over the next 2 days, you will be discussing all of these current issues in great details and making your plans as to how you can go ahead. But today I would like to address the following topics. One, related to the current crisis, is COVID testing. To assist the recovery of travel and tourism, we should continue to lobby governments and the United Nations to allocate substantial financial and research resources to develop a rapid result test regime. A UK company has already claimed in the Financial Times that they have developed such a procedure that will be tested, we hope, in Heathrow Airport. This test gives a reliable result within seconds. Well, again, let's hope it works. If it does, rapid results testing will greatly improve the willingness of people to travel, as it will entirely dispense with the need for quarantine, except, of course, for those who are positive. Such a regime should then be introduced as the first step in the airport check-in procedures. The WTTC and IATA also endorse this approach. But as we hope for a better future, let's examine travel, tourism, and hospitality in relation to sustainability. With or without COVID-19, this subject is not going away. We see the devastation through fires in California, Oregon, and Washington state. Glaciers melting in Greenland, not only on the surface, but underneath from warmer seawater. So let's look at the opportunities and challenges for the future of our hotel industry. We are aware of the benefits of travel and tourism to the global economy and to society. We know that our sector is definitely a force for good. Look at these WTTC figures. 2.5% global GDP growth, but in travel and tourism, we achieved 3.5% for 2019. 10.3% travel and tourism contribution to global GDP. And how fantastic to see 330 million people working in our industry. 1 in 10 or 1 in 4 of all jobs created. But as an industry, we must continue to address where we stand on environmental issues. We must communicate our position more effectively. Activists will now say that people should not travel in the future. After all, they will claim that we have grown accustomed to not doing so and will draw attention to the so-called clean air experienced during the crisis. I read an article in a British newspaper criticizing the fashion industry for its environmental damage and claiming that it was second only to aviation as a polluter. Is this true? I understand that aviation contributes less than 3%, about 2.5%, of total carbon emissions. So what should we do? First of all, let's engage with the opponents of travel and tourism, especially with regards to the environment and climate change. Our industry, public relations and communications needs to address these issues and to clearly explain our position. For example, where exactly does aviation rank as a source of CO2 emissions? Who are the biggest polluters? Is it construction? If so, should we be building so many hotels? What are the benefits of travel and tourism, not only to the economy, but also to society? Yes, we may contribute over 300 million jobs worldwide, but we need to demonstrate specific examples of how travel and tourism benefits developing nations in Asia such as the Maldives, Cambodia, Indonesia, and then of course countries throughout Africa, including Egypt in our region, and of course, South America. Look at what it means to Africa, for example. Travel and tourism jobs, 24.6 million. travel and tourism GDP 1.68 billion, and achieving 2.2% growth, which I'm sure can be greatly improved. We need to demonstrate how the industry provides prosperity at home and reduces immigration and human trafficking, how it provides a means to educate future generations, how tourism protects Africa's wildlife through employment and education of local populations, what the GDP contribution is from tourism in so many of these developing countries, how travel and tourism injects cash at all levels to these societies, not forgetting what travel and tourism has done for the prosperity of European destinations and, of course, of the Middle East. Think, for example, when you talk about the Middle East, that the combined remittances from Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates in 2018 totaled $25 billion. What we do not do well environmentally must also be addressed, and here we have a great challenge. Do we engage with the Greta Thunbergs of the world, or do we find more realistic environmentalists who recognize the benefits of our industry and take a balanced approach to these issues? We have Tourism Cares and Tourism for Tomorrow and many other such organizations working closely with the WTTC. The industry needs a coordinated communications and public relations campaign, ready to start at the appropriate time. It must be well financed and of the highest standard. I would like to propose that such a campaign would include a highly professional TV documentary presented by a narrator of the caliber of David Attenborough, for example. This documentary would explore the challenges and the benefits of tourism and travel in a balanced and objective way. It should be funded by the industry private sector, and I would suggest that it is done under the auspices of the World Travel and Tourism Council, the WTTC. We need to address the areas of concern in a realistic way. For example, the issue of so-called over-tourism in various cities in Europe. In these cases, we need to work with the local communities to ensure that tourism is sustainable from their point of view. A figure we've all been recently reading is that in the 1950s, Venice had a resident population of 155,000. Today, it is estimated to be 55,000. All hotel and travel companies should declare their current and targeted CO2 emissions. Congratulations to those who have already done so, such as Intercontinental Hotels, Hilton, Marriott, Accor, and many other companies who are very keen to ensure that not only do our guests know what our targets are, but indeed that our colleagues are employees within the business. And an organization called ScienceBasedTargets.org in many ways show how this can be done. Each hotel should publicly post their current carbon footprint and their future targets. I would also hope that hotels do not lose sight of their banning of single-use plastic. COVID precautions certainly make this initiative far, far more difficult to apply. Though I do wonder why a China cup straight out of a Diversey-injected dishwasher should be considered to be less safe than a plastic disposable mug. So we must engage with environmentalists and the climate change activists who are not fans of our industry. We must take them with us to show the benefits of our industry. The bottom line on this issue is that we cannot continue to use up the planet's resources in a non-renewable way. Sooner or later, this planet, as it is today, will run out of everything. So whether or not you believe in climate change, within our industry, we need to address the multiple issues for our own survival. Sustainability is, after all, good housekeeping. Yes, I know it's difficult to consider these matters when so many of you are more worried about short-term economic survival. But we will come through this crisis. Look at the success of Ras Al Khaimah tourism in attracting staycationers this summer just past. And the Dubai is Open campaign, and the fact that Dubai MICE business is reopening as well. This is all so positive. Saudi Arabia is ready to open for tourists. And you can see from this slide how fantastic it is that within Saudi Arabia, that we're now opening up for tourism, that so much has been done in the last 2 years to do so, and that already its contribution is over almost 1.5 million jobs. We see similar situation from a slide I'm about to show for the United Arab Emirates. Look at the United Arab Emirates, 11.1% of the total economy in 2018, 611.7 thousand jobs. And we know, and we hope, and we know we will work towards it to make sure that these jobs do come back in the future. Innovation is a hallmark of the Middle East hotel industry. And with the continuing support of our governments in the region, I am absolutely convinced and confident that travel and tourism will survive in a most sustainable way, sustainable both from the environment, from society, and so importantly, from the economic points of view. And my last slide shows some good advice from the World Travel and Tourism Council in relation to the current situation, particularly with regards to how we handle COVID and how we come back from this. We need, as the WTTC says, we need to learn from the past. Do not try to reinvent or create new processes. Avoid creative solutions in silos. Learn from people involved in outbreak response. But what I really like listening to them is to recover faster. Essential public and private collaboration. And the WTTC has been very active in relation to the G20, the T20, which is the tourism ministers. And as we know, the G20, the next one will be held in Saudi Arabia. We need to embrace global standards and protocols to ensure that we can rebuild trust in travelers, as I've just said about rapid results testing. And we do need to embrace new technologies to allow this very point of contact tracing and testing in coordination with sector standards. And I would just like to finish by saying, Middle East travel and tourism is resilient. Our industry is a force for good worldwide. Our hoteliers in the Middle East are the best in the world. It has given me so much pleasure to have been able to work amongst you over now about 40 years on and off in Dubai, Bahrain, and back in Dubai since 1991. So I say thank you. Stay safe, stay positive. It will get better because you are the best. Thank you very much.